This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you?
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it?
I bring you the cure from mankind, and you wanna play the pissy little brother.
We ain't back in Boston. You lay your hands on me again, it won't end well for you.
The scene with Joel and Tommy in the back room of the dam might be the most frustrating tease in gaming. At least for me. Hey stragglers and tourists, my name is TheiPadCat, and in today's video I'm a bit more personal rather than doing some general speculation. So most likely The Last of Us Part 2 will have some sort of a single player DLC, like practically every other Naughty Dog game before it, or maybe a standalone game instead of a DLC, like The Lost Legacy was for Uncharted 4. Either way, this video is all about my ideal story for that. But before we get into that, I'd just like to remind everyone of the TheiPadCat Discord server. Join it to chat with me and the other like-minded people. The link is in the description. I'd also appreciate it if you followed me on Twitter, since YouTube isn't really good at its job of notifying subscribers. But through Twitter, you'll get a notification every time I upload and when I'm about to stream. That link is also in the description. But without further ado, let's get started. I feel like Tommy was a really underutilized character in The Last of Us Part 1. Of course, the game is ultimately about Joel and Ellie, but man, I feel like there's such an interesting story to tell about Joel and Tommy. You've probably heard it a million times before. Yeah, something during the 20 years would be awesome, but it really would. If we take a look at the photos in Sarah's room in the prologue of The Last of Us Part 1, we can actually see a photo of her, Joel and Tommy. And from what all we hear during the prologue and later in the game, it seems like Tommy and Joel were really close before the outbreak and for the first couple of years after it. But despite that, we'd never go in depth into their relationship. What made the two really close brothers practically hate each other? So ideally, this DLC or standalone would start pretty soon after the events of the prologue of the first game, while the world is still falling apart. One, it would be very interesting and scary to see it happen. The desperation, Fedra seizing control of the country, the power going out for the very last time, the Air Force bombing the major cities, and the military murdering the people swarming to get into the quarantine zones. It would be a great way to do some world building. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the world of The Last of Us Part 1, but there are moments where I was just aching to find out more about what's happened at a location, etc. It would be an awesome opportunity to flesh out the military and Fedra as a faction as well, and maybe give us more of a nuanced look at them. They were tasked with containing a nearly uncontainable catastrophe. Why did they become the cold, brutal and corrupt faction we see in Part 1? And 2, to see how it affected the brothers. Joel going from a loving father to an emotionally cold killer, and Tommy still holding out hope. We could start seeing them ending up in that disaster camp Joel mentions in Salt Lake City, and then their journey north across the East Coast up all the way to Boston. And how their relationship constantly deteriorated to the point when they finally reached the "I don't ever want to see your goddamn face again" stage. We could see them having arguments regarding their view on the world, and how that eventually led to one joining the Fireflies and one becoming a hunter. What if it ended with the two splitting up in Boston, Joel meeting Tess and Tommy meeting Marlene? Man, that would be so awesome. Throughout the whole thing, you could maybe switch perspectives and play as them both. That would allow for interesting storytelling and gameplay variety. Maybe Tommy is specialized in using long-range weapons and Joel is really up close and personal. Or what if, during non-story sections, like fights, like the financial plaza in the first game, you could switch freely between the two. And like the first game had left behind to flesh out Ellie's character and backstory, and offer a different take on The Last of Us, this could be a perfect opportunity to do the same, but with Joel. Anyone disappointed with not having as much Joel in the main campaign of The Last of Us Part 2 could have this DLC/standalone. It could provide a whole other perspective on both Joel and Tommy in The Last of Us Part 1. I get that everything doesn't have to be explained or shown, but this is a story I really think should be told. So get on with it, Naughty Dog. But I think I'm getting too excited now over my own imagination, so let's stop it right there. Anyways, that's just what I think. Sorry if this was kind of a short video and not really had any information in it, but I really felt I wanted to make this video. What do you think? Do you agree with my points? Disagree? Would you like a DLC/standalone game about Joel and Tommy? Tell me in the comments down below and let's discuss it. And until next time, have a great day.